just relax into understanding that your inner being is always calling you. And the more often you go, now we're not encouraging long-standing drinking. We're not discouraging it either, but we're not encouraging you to try to fill the void that way.
Right.
Because the only way that that void can be filled is through connection to source energy.
Right.
But you really want to find a way of doing something a little different than what you're doing, because what you're doing is feeling like a victim. What you're doing is feeling vulnerable. What you're doing is feeling out of control.
Right.
And it is completely understandable why you feel that way. But feeling that way is so opposite of who you really are and how you really feel that you just can't let yourself feel that way very long without just departing more and more and more
Right.
from who you are. That's why you gave us the perfect words. I just sometimes, not all the time,
Right.
I just sometimes feel more lost than others. And we say, isn't it logical that you would when, for whatever reason, you've let go of your own guidance? Of course you would feel lost. But when you wake up tomorrow, you're not lost, you're found again. And little by little, you can return to, some call it grounding, we call it connection to who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a basis. Now what do you want to say?
He really enjoyed his life, and he was happy all the time, and it was fantastic to watch, and it was great to be around.
You think he was enjoying it then. You should feel how he's enjoying it now.
Yeah, for sure. But I have not, is my point. Like I'm not enjoying the contrast of this, and I know that I've heard you guys say
That's easy to understand. But
well, not just this experience. I mean, my whole life so far I've heard you guys say that when we're on the other side or wherever it is we are in that vibration, that we get really excited about coming down to have this human experience and know what it all feels like. And I don't know what I was thinking, because I'm seriously not enjoying this. And so why did he get to go and I'm still here not enjoying it?
because from your attention to him in the non-physical, you get to now do what you've intended to do when you came forth, which is be infused with the energy and the clarity and the love and the worthiness of non-physical and well-being, and you get to focus it in the here and now. In other words, it's the perfect plan. When we say to you, if you think that he was enjoying life then you can sort of get a sense of how he is enjoying it now. As he has his undivided attention upon you, part of the reason that you're not feeling so good now is because you're not allowing yourself to flow with what he is feeling now. There's a more important thing, and you just said it to us. You said, I was never that happy in this physical experience, and why is it that he gets to go? And we want to say, can you feel what a great plan that was? Because in your caring about him and in your reaching for alignment with him, you're going to discover the zest for life that he always had. He was with you for a while and wanting to infuse you with his zest of life, and did to some extent, but not really. Now he has the ability to infuse you with the zest for life that he had. You used to say that all the time. In other words, how can I feel about it the way you feel about it? Why don't I feel about it the way you feel about it? Why don't I feel happy like you feel happy? And not at a conscious level, but from his inner being's point of view, this is the easiest way for him to help you to understand, because the answers that you're looking for are not in the switching around and the changing of the contrast or the conditions that surround you in this life experience. The way that you find that happiness that you were looking for, that he had found, is by connecting with that source energy, and he is leading you to that. Don't waste it. Don't waste it by relitigating the past. Be powerful in your now, you see. Have you had that infusion where you can feel that he's thinking about you and you're thinking about him? Have you had that conscious rendezvous?
Right after he first made his transition, I found myself comforting a lot of other people, and I would hear him really clearly and was...
So think about what that means.
But I don't hear him at all anymore.
But think about why. Think about what that means. In those early days when your desire was stronger than ever,
right,
and your attention was not upon comforting others, you were not beating the drum of your own victimhood. And so that vibration was not present within you. So you were in sync.
Oh,
so you were one,
yeah,
you see.
Yeah.
And so as you focus back on that and realize that you're having that experience, you can have it again and again and again and again and again.
Okay.
Everyone feels lost when they are not in alignment with who they really are. That's what fear is. That's what insecurity is. That's even what anger at politics is that feeling of being out of control, like you cannot control your experience. And what we want to say enough here today that you will feel an infusion of it within you. If you can make this an emotional journey that you're on, if you can make this a connecting to source energy journey that you're on, don't try to figure out how to navigate this time-space reality. That's like blindfolding yourself and then getting in your car. You're working at a tremendous disadvantage. Instead, what you're wanting to do is connect with your guidance, and then you'll be good to go wherever you are, you see, in all situations. We know that in some ways these sound like words, and words do not teach, but life experience does. And you are living the most profound life experience. And what's hatched within you is a very powerful desire that is calling you in very powerful ways. And as you just get somewhere in the vicinity of it, something will occur that you will feel drawn to, and you won't feel lost. It always feels lost when you are in a situation where it's no longer logical for you to do the things that you were used to doing. Used to being with somebody, used to hanging around with them, used to doing this at this time, or those things that you're used to doing. And when you're not doing those things that you're used to doing, it's easy to feel lost. But that feeling of being lost goes away in the moment that you find something that connects you with source. And then the next idea comes, and the next, and the next. And you know, focus back for just a little bit on how powerfully those ideas were flowing to you in those early days after his transition, and how strong you felt as you were offering those words of comfort. And just for a moment, while we're right here together, acknowledge the profound connection with your source energy that was happening then. And remember, because you can, how you didn't feel lost. You were sure-footed. In fact, you were more sure-footed than you usually are.
That's true.
And so as you realize that you accomplished that then, and you can do it again, but you've got to stop beating the drum of the parts of it that you don't like, while you focus upon the parts that you remember that were empowering, you see. And then, and then, and then, and then, and then. One day Esther was sitting to edit a recording. It's these twice monthlies and monthlies that she was talking to you about earlier. And she was sitting making decisions with us and with Jerry about the poignant parts, about the parts that were most outstanding, about the parts that were more leading edge, about the parts that were more practical, about the parts that were more fun, evaluating from the glut of material that is pouring through her seminar after seminar, week after week. She's finding those pieces, those nuggets that she believes, that we believe are most beneficial in closing the gap for the most. And so she was sitting there in that process. Now, a lot of that was what Jerry always did. Jerry was the one, he sat and took notes through the process. He had a really good way of keeping track. He highlighted the things that you were responding to. He noticed the things that really brought a rise in the energy. And so now Esther is sitting, and she realizes that it's up to her now, because she doesn't have his notes and she doesn't have his input, so she thought. So she sits with the material, and all of a sudden, things are standing out in such strong ways. It was like shining a light on things in a more powerful way than ever before. There was no question within her what his and our input was about it. And then she began to notice that as she was roaming around the planet with him, they were in the bus together, or they were in this place or that place, and they were all their favorite places that they were. And now she's looking around, and he's not in those places. But then she began to realize he's not in those places. He's in all places if she will reach for him, if she will feel for him. Not only that, but he's more fun than he's ever been. He is of much more, don't tell him we said this. He's of much more practical value to Esther now than he ever has been. Much more. Esther had this thought. So he was in his office, she was in her office, or he was in one end of the bus, she was in the other end of the bus. They were always working on their projects, doing things. They would pass by, they would say hello, they would have meals together. There was much loving conversation between them. But for the most part, they were not walking step by step, having thought by thought by thought by thought by thought. But now they are. He is not apart from any thought that she ever thinks. He is involved in every thought she thinks. Talk about harmony. Talk about not being lost. Talk about companion. Talk about upliftment. Talk about whole. Talk about support. You see what we're getting at? Mm-hmm. You're looking for love in all the wrong places. You want to look for it where it is. And not only do you have access to that person or that being who now exists and is aware of you, but so much more than that as well. All ready to translate through you, to be part of your point of attraction for the combining and for the co-creating with so many on so many levels. That's that sweet spot that we're talking about, you see.
Well, they're practical things I still need to do. Like, I still need to sell his vehicle, and I still need to find another place to live, and I kind of am in it all by myself. Although, even though I know you're, and he's with me, and if I'm connected to my source, I'm not really alone. But I don't know how to get there.
This conversation and conversations like it are the way to get there. The accepting that things are not as bleak as you want to point them out to be. The no longer arguing so much for limitations, but instead looking for the benefit in this. You all have to get over this death thing. You just do. You just have to get over this death thing, because it's a flawed premise in your reality. And the reason that it's a flawed premise is because you are looking so piercingly with your beady little eyes at exactly what is, and you're not allowing yourself your broader view. And until you accept the eternalness of who you are and the power of your now, you're going to have that shortage consciousness about life. The thing that people suffer about most, human people, you think it's money, but it isn't. It's your mortality. You're worrying about your mortality. You're worrying about the mortality of others. You're looking how old you are and counting how many years you've got left, or you're regretting how much you didn't get done, instead of using your powerful now to connect with your powerful energy and flourishing in this moment in time, you see. So just chill out a little bit. We don't want you to write a book on how great it is my husband died. That's not the point of this conversation. But we want you to feel within you the book that is wanting to be written, that says, my life did not end when my partner and love made his transition to non-physical. In fact, there was an enhancement of my life that didn't happen while we were together in physical form. That's what we want you to focus upon. And then that's what we want you to watch for. And then watch what happens from that. You're going to like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enough?
I think so.